Okay. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm Jacqueline Whitmore, and welcome to my Facebook Live. I hope everybody is having a good day wherever you are around the world. I have missed you. I have skipped a couple of weeks because I've been working on some exciting projects, and I will share those with you down the road. And today I am going to be interviewing a fellow colleague, an etiquette expert. And as you know, I have been featuring other people in my industry, so you can get used to other faces who also um, deal with sticky situations. And this particular person is Rosalinda Randall, and I've known Rosalinda for many years. She is based in the Bay Area, San Francisco area. She is on television, she's on radio, and she has also written a brand new book. Here we are. Keep Your Distance. Your Guide to Handling Common Dilemmas in Uncommon Times. So I am so excited to bring her on in just a minute and talk to her about all the things that she's been going through since we've all been in lockdown. And as far as I know, she is the only etiquette expert who has written a book about these situations during the pandemic. So I look forward to sharing her knowledge with all of you. So I'm going to bring her on and invite her to the studio. Hello, Rosalinda.
Hello, good morning, Jacqueline. I'm very excited and honored to be here with you.
I'm very excited to have you. So how long have we known each other?
I want to say I graduated or got certified back in '96, and shortly thereafter, I believe we connected. Could have been a year or two later. So I want to say since 1998.
Oh, wow. That's a long time.
I think it was shortly after that I contacted you or came across your name. And in fact, if you recall, you mentored me initially. You had a group of etiquette people because you had been doing this much longer than I had. So you actually gave me my push and encouragement and a lot of ideas, because as you know, we all have our certain personality that we that affects how we teach, how we present, and even sometimes our opinions might differ slightly from etiquette expert to etiquette expert. So yeah, I was very, very happy to meet you at that time. You were very gracious and helpful.
Well, thank you. And you have written another book prior to this, which, by the way, I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back because I'm the one who gave you the idea of what to name the book. And can you tell everybody what that is called?
Don't burp in the boardroom. I think you're seeing it backwards. I'm not sure, but this is what it was. Don't burp in the boardroom, because I do have a little bit more of a, I guess, sassy and humorous approach to it. So Jacqueline and I were, brainstorming ideas, and you got me. That was me.
Well, and that's what I want to convey to all our viewers, that just because you're an etiquette expert doesn't mean you have to be stuffy and you have to be what is the word? Well, you don't have to be stuffy. You can be fun, right?
Most definitely. And that's the one thing, and I'm sure you've experienced as well, at weddings or situations when you're sitting around the table with other guests you don't know, or at networking events. So what do? And I say I'm an etiquette and civility expert. And all of a sudden, especially at the dinner table, oh, I'm going to have to watch how I eat. Or, I've had a couple people say, well, it must be, excuse the expression, a living hell living with you. And okay, but then we don't live together, I guess. But yeah, people have a certain stereotype or impression of a person with etiquette. And really, how I define it is just making, and most of us do, making other people feel comfortable. That's really what it comes down to. And I always tell people, if you pick up the wrong fork, but you have this, you're engaged, you're respectful, you're smiling, they're either not going to notice that you picked up the wrong fork, or they're going to overlook it because the interaction is so delicious and so much better. And that's really what matters.
Absolutely. And you have made etiquette fun. And I encourage people to pick up your first book, Don't Burp in the Boardroom, to hear your or to read your style of etiquette training. So, and my etiquette training is just a little bit different. My style is different, but you hit the nail on the head. You said every etiquette experts may have a different opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to convey to our viewers, is that etiquette is situational, that it's not necessarily black and white. So what might work for you might not work for me in my situation.
Most definitely. And adding to that is also taking into consideration the person with whom you're dealing with at that time. If it's, a different generation, different culture, different, you're in a corporate setting versus at a park, it requires us to be a little bit more engaged in life and with that particular situation, that moment and that person. So the way I would respond to, say, my boss in an office situation may not be the way I respond to somebody in the parking lot at the store. Hopefully still
Exactly.
polite, but
So tell everybody a little bit about your background. Where did you grow up, and how did you tell us briefly about your journey, how you transitioned to what you used to be doing into the world of etiquette?
well, initially I worked in human resources, what we used to call personnel. But so that was part of, people and understanding people, interviewing, and so forth. Then my dream was to become a mom and a housewife. Now, some people frown on that, but that was my dream. Luckily, I met a very good man, and fulfilled my dream, that I've been home. So I wanted to find something else, not to work full time, but to be available and be home with my family. And so I started putting together programs at my children's school, to, just to go volunteer and do that. And then I saw an opportunity to go get trained and certified, and I did. And then that allowed me to um, manage my own hours, take jobs, not take jobs, and so forth. So it was the perfect thing. But how I really eased into this, honestly, I had to learn what, all those, people exaggerate, 17 forks at the table. There are never that many, but, all of those little intricacies, because I was raised in a, traditional Hispanic, Latin, I don't know what it's supposed to be called these days, but Mexican predominantly. My mom's
Mhm.
Brazilian, father Mexican, and a very traditional family where the foundation was set. And that's really what I use for my business, how I live my life. And really the foundation, what I say is just, we have to be respectful. I was free to say whatever I wanted, express myself, but it had to be respectful, tactful, courteous, considerate of others. And there was a lot of humor and music and dancing. So all of those things really are what, I guess, opened the door to etiquette. Now I just needed all these other little things, because we never went to a fancy restaurant. Sizzler was like, woo, our really.
It's like Golden Corral in my hometown. That was the big night out.
There wasn't even a cloth napkin. So where I really got more interested was, I wasn't allowed to date till I was a lot older than most of my friends. Anyway, I met a gentleman, a man, a boy, I don't know. It took me to Beverly Hills to eat dinner. And there was a finger bowl and all these things. It was almost like Pretty Women without that part of Pretty Women, where I wasn't sure. And he was very kind and, showed me, and I followed. And so that's why I thought, wow, there's a whole world out here of these things. So that was kind of my journey. And so more of my etiquette, even though, I do what you do, which fork to use and how to continental versus American style of eating and so forth. I infuse a little bit more of those traits that I grew up with, on how to really deal with people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I know it helps to have that that international background that you have, and it also makes a person more um, aware. It also helps you identify with people who are multicultural as well. And so I think it's great. And I have seen pictures of you dancing with your dad.
Yeah, my favorite. Yeah,
Yeah, he
fortunately.
loves to dance.
Yes, he does. He always has. He and my mom
Sweet,
would
sweet
always
man.
go. Mhm.
Sweet
Yeah,
man.
thank you.
Well, I'd love to get to your book. So it's an easy read.
Yes.
It's very short.
Mhm.
We haven't been in this pandemic, let's see, not even a year yet. And you got this out pretty fast. And what made you decide to write this book? And how did you come up with the scenarios in this book?
Some of the scenarios are things that people have asked me, personally, privately. Some of them I've experienced, observed, um, and some of them I just use common sense to come up with day-to-day situations pre-COVID and how we interact with all of the new restrictions in the same situation. So it was a multitude of things. And how I started writing was just really blogging, as many people do start writing a book. You just write articles or
Mhm.
on television. I was called in to speak about some of these scenarios. And in writing, I just kept adding, adding, adding. And then I just thought, okay, well, this is enough for a book. And I threw it together.
But that's okay. You know what? Because you were ahead of the game. And so I have also been getting calls from the media, and I've been asked questions that I would have never been asked 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or even 9 months ago.
Mhm.
So I was talking to one etiquette expert a while back, and I said to her, frankly, a lot of us have to make all this up as we go along.
I'm telling you.
I mean, what is quarantine etiquette, really? I have been doing videos on mask etiquette. Who would have thunk it?
Oh, no, not at all. And really, again, I think it's our foundation, our common sense, our experience
Mhm.
that makes it, I think, easy for us to come up with a solution, not one size fits all, again, as we said that, but a solution that incorporates being civil, respectful, and courteous. So if you come up with a solution with those things in mind, I think there we've got the answer. And we probably most agree on, generally on all the advice that we've been giving.
So I'm sure you've been getting this question a lot. You're in the grocery store, you're in some sort of public place, and one of the shoppers next to you isn't wearing a mask. Do you confront that person or do you let it go? And has your answer changed over time?
No, it hasn't. I want to say first, it depends on what county and what state you're in, because I've been in Arizona where some stores at that time, again, everything changes from week to week, even day to day, and county to county. So before you start, if your choice is, I always tell people, you can do whatever you want, but there are consequences. You may be taking a ride in the back of a police car for being too aggressive, or thrown out of a store. But
Or shooting somebody for trying to accost you?
oh my goodness, yes, it's getting anyway. So what I tell people is first find out if it's absolutely mandatory in that state, in that county. If it's not, then there's nothing you can do other than be uncomfortable, ask for space, hurry up, look forward, check out, or go to another line. I mean, you can't force people if it isn't mandated. Now, if it is mandated and someone isn't, that's what managers get paid the big bucks for. Speak to a manager instead of that person, because you don't know that person, and if it's a risk today to confront someone or to even make a request. So depending on how they respond, I mean, they may respond with a big fu and mind your own business. Where do you take it from there? Do you engage? Do you turn around and just leave? Well, then why didn't you just turn around and leave to begin with? So it's a choice that we all make. I personally don't say anything to anybody. I do what I need to do, try and maintain that distance and get out as quickly as I can. That's my choice.
Right.
So, we all have to make those choices, but lecturing, aggressiveness, videotaping them live on Facebook to show that they're not wearing a mask, I don't know what that's going to get you other than maybe some relief on being angry, frustrated. That's
Right. I think we have to, I totally agree with you on that. I totally agree with you on that. And you don't have to be the mask police. Like you said, that's why the managers make what they do, because they can say something if perhaps it upsets you. I have said something to the effect of, if I've noticed that the cashiers are wearing masks, I'll oftentimes thank them. I'll say, that's great that this store provides masks for you. But other than that, I pretty much just leave it alone. So the holidays are coming up, and you're probably starting to get some questions about um, parties and who to invite, and are you going to have a party? And I actually did a poll recently on my Facebook page to ask people, are you going to have any kind of celebration this year? And it was interesting to find out that most of the people who responded said that they are opting not to have big parties this year. They're opting to keep it very small, intimate, and or just going away with their spouse or partner. And are you starting to see a lot more etiquette questions come in around the holidays?
most definitely. And even in general, just on gatherings, what do we do? Then you get into the family dynamics. Well, I want to keep it small, but I can only invite this many, and so auntie and cousin or mother-in-law is going to get upset that they aren't included. That's where the problems are. Or even friends, where do you cut off? Just like on weddings, we have to cut off A-list and B-list people. So that's where the potential conflict and hurt feelings are going to come up. So sometimes I've told people, well, if you can afford it, so that's another thing right now, people without jobs, throw
True.
2 parties, both small, and invite, different people. Or I just think, yeah, that the best solution is maybe your just immediate family, so that you don't start extending it and people get hurt feelings. But yeah, and the other thing that people, if they do come, some of them might be hesitant to eat your food. You have that where there are some people, I know somebody who will not accept food from anybody else.
Wow.
They're just concerned of cross-contamination, and I don't know about their cleanliness. So, there's that issue too. Do you order it from the store? Do you cook? I just think these are things that people are going to have to decide when and if they do accept an invitation. It's on their terms, meaning they're the host. If they want you to wear masks or take off your shoes, be prepared. And then I tell the host, if you're going to have these, COVID-like guidelines that you want your guests to follow, tell them in advance so that they can decide whether they want to wear a mask throughout the party or not.
Right. I think that's really important, especially for those who are watching, because they're probably in the midst of trying to decide whether they're going to go to a party or not. And as a host, it's important to set those guidelines ahead of time so your guests know exactly what to expect. I had one person say to me, she went on this boat. She was invited to go on a boat, and somebody brought an uninvited guest, and it made everybody uncomfortable because they didn't know this person and so on. I mean, it gets kind of messy, doesn't it?
It can, very much so. And again, we don't know people's challenges, medical concerns, that we might look at them and say, man, they're crazy about this. It's like, it's not that big of a deal. We don't know. Or maybe they're caring for someone that's elderly and at risk. So they need to be careful and be very selective as to who they surround themselves with. So, it's easy to say, someone's going, oh, they're overboard on this. And, that's a whole other issue as well. People who completely think it's not a big deal, and others who are, living in fear. So
Yeah.
just, again, it comes down to just being a little bit patient, understanding, and if it's necessary, limit your contact with people that super oppose your views, and just, check in occasionally so you don't have that conversation over and over.
So let's pivot a little bit. And speaking of pivoting, how have you had to redesign or rebrand your business during this uncertain time?
Well, the inquiries keep coming in, but business has slowed down, just like in every other aspect or most aspects. But it's allowed me to write a lot more, obviously, and do a little bit more television to comment on this. I do have a Zoom presentation tomorrow, actually. So that's kind of where it's going, and I've had a couple of private consultations, which is kind of nice. And yeah, those are the changes that I've seen, really.
Mm-hmm.
How about
Yes.
you?
Well, I have had a lot of time to rebrand myself. And, it's almost like starting over again, except I have 24 years of experience. But for the first time, I think in history, we're everybody in our industry, we're all at the same level. In other words, we're all experiencing the same thing, and we're all having to figure out what the next step is. And I think if you have built a business, an etiquette business, you're treating it like a business. Whereas if you treat etiquette like a hobby, I think those are the people who will have a more difficult time to start up again. But I'm just treating it like a business. I'm redesigning everything, my logo, my website, um, I am putting all my programs now on video, and I'm going virtual. I've done probably 6 or 7 Zoom classes for corporate clients. And I'm letting them know that these classes are available. So I'm going through my database, and I am sending emails to all of my past clients and giving them a menu of options. And a few of them have contacted me. So part of it is getting back to my roots and reaching out to people I haven't talked to in a very, very long time. And this interview is an example of that. You and I really haven't spoken in probably, I don't know, 9 months or more, maybe even a year.
Yes,
And I like to do a lot more video because I think people are visual.
most definitely. I see a little bit different because I do talk, as we said, every so often we do speak, and there's one or two others that I speak once in a while to, etiquette experts or people in our field. And I do want to say that it seems to be, from what I've heard from other people, that there's a difference in culture and workplace culture where I am. The Bay Area is very casual. We have the Googles and the big tech companies that pride themselves on being, going into work with PJs if they want. And now with virtual, it isn't etiquette, that word. Puts people off, and I think they automatically assume that it's corporate and we need to wear our ties and shirts, and it really, I'm having a little bit of a tough time breaking through that to say no, it's just how you treat one another and acknowledge someone and not interrupt someone at a meeting. Basically, that's what it comes down to. So yeah, it's a little bit different here.
And I think the year 2020 is the year of comfort. That's what I'm calling it. So your people in Silicon Valley fit in quite nicely now. But comfort doesn't have to equal sloppy.
Exactly. I will
Exactly.
say that. Or smelly, because I have been called in pre-COVID to address lack of hygiene in the tech industry. So
Whoa.
that's something that has been there all the time. So a little shower now and then, or a clean shirt every other day.
That works.
Yeah.
So we have about a couple minutes left, and I just want to ask you a couple questions. One being, can you tell us something that most people don't know about Rosalinda Randall?
Okay, the one thing that comes to mind that almost brings me to tears every time I think about it is being a blues singer laying on a piano in a bar where they can smoke cigarettes. It's just something that I'm going to have to die never having done. I stink at singing. I sing my lungs out when I'm home by myself. But I've even taken voice lessons, and it's just, it didn't go well. So that's probably the one thing in my life, well, the one regret I'll have, because I have really no others. And that my mom is half Syrian, so that makes me a quarter Syrian. That's another thing most people don't know.
Ah, okay, okay. And second question is, what is next for Rosalinda Randall? What's on the horizon?
Wow. I hadn't thought about
Personally or professionally?
uh, either one. I think I'm just doing what is on the horizon. Writing a book. I have an idea for another one already, and I'm taking.
Wow.
Yes, I've just been oozing creativity in writing, so I'm trying to just go with that and not pursue a lot of the business, because I want to take advantage of that. As you know, sometimes you can't write. You have a block. So right now it's just pouring out of me. So that's what I'm focusing on, and getting back into exercising. That COVID just knocked me out.
Oh, I know. They call it COVID-19 for a reason.
I'm not quite at the 19 pounds, but I'm on the
No, neither am I, but I'm in the same boat. I feel like it's really time to buckle down and do a complete detox.
Yeah. And what about you, Jacqueline, if I may ask?
Well, I have so many ideas. In fact, I'll have to show you. I have so many ideas pouring out of my brain that I had to buy this whiteboard at the office supply store. And I'm writing down all of my ideas. And as I accomplish them, I just scratch them off. And this is the only way I can stay focused because when COVID hit, I had probably, well, first of all, after the initial shock wore off, I started getting idea after idea, and I started working on about 6 projects at once, from designing a new children's etiquette workbook, to doing video programs, to doing new websites, to doing new branding, to buying new blinds in my office. I mean, there are many, and ring lights and microphones and tripods.
True.
So that's what I've been focusing on, and doing more and more YouTube videos, because I think that is where people will eventually find us and find out more about us.
That's true. Okay. Well, see,
So
we're productive, right? That's
very productive. There aren't enough hours in the day. So I am so excited that you've agreed to say hello to everybody. And so I'm going to show your website on the screen one more time. It's rosalindarandall.com. And if anybody wants to email you, isn't it info@rosalindarandall.com?
No, it's just Rosalinda@rosalindarandall.com. But, through the website, it's just simpler. Go to the website and you can contact, and instead of giving so many addresses and links and things. So, yes.
Okay, well, great. So,
a pleasure. Enjoyable. I love watching your videos and your other guests. I was very happy when you asked me to be one of them. So again, and it was a pleasure. We actually met face to face and hung out. You were the most wonderful Florida host. Showed me around, saw some
Well,
crocodiles.
thank you. You did come to Mount Dora where I live, and we went on a cat boat ride, and then I took you to the Goblin Market, and we had a fabulous lunch.
Yes, yes. So one
So
day we'll do it again, or if I can reciprocate if you're ever in California.
I would love that. I would love that. So stay safe, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you someday soon, Rosalinda.
Thank you
Take
so much.
care.
Bye.